Coach Ashton, thumbs up. You hear me okay? Perfect. Those of you in the meeting, we'll get started in 5 minutes. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach Ashton, you hear me okay? You see the PowerPoint in the background says Blue Valley West Baseball. Okay, parents, players, I'm going to go ahead and get started. To respect your time, I have 7:30. If you get cut off for any reason, we are recording this Zoom. So I will send this Zoom meeting out to you about an hour after the meeting tonight. It takes that long for it to process. So we'll get that hooked up into an email. I will also send all the documents along with the PowerPoint in that email as well. So that way you have all this information sent to you in an email. If for some reason you don't get that email, then just reach out to me or have your player reach out to me, and we'll make sure we get that set up and you get this information. Should take about 30 minutes. I'll do my best to keep it at that, maybe even a little bit shorter. So with that said, our agenda tonight, I'm going to give you a quick introduction of the coaches and a little bit about them. We'll talk about the player needs for tryouts. We'll talk about the tryout schedule and that entire first week and how that'll look. We'll talk about the evaluation process for tryouts. We'll talk to you about those team stores that I've emailed out and sent to the players. And then we'll make sure you have my contact information just in case you have any questions. So with that said, I'm going to stop share here. Please bear with me. It's been a while since we did this whole Zoom thing. So if I mess up, which is likely to happen, please just, I'm only going to apologize once here. I'll do it ahead of time. So with that said, all right, Coach Ashton, do you see the website there with my picture on it? We're good. Okay. So where I'm at right now is bluevalleywestbaseball.com. And if you go to this page, you can find a lot of information that pertains to our program. But what I'm going to stick to right now is just the coaches tab. I have a bio on there for myself. If you want to learn more about me, this is my 4th year at Blue Valley West. I've loved every minute of it. Since day one, our goal has been to have a positive experience with all the players that we work with. Do our best to put them in a position not only to become better baseball players, but become better men. And then, of course, our goal competitive wise is to win a state championship. So far we've been on the right path. We haven't achieved that ultimate goal, but we have been getting better and getting closer to it. And then once again, this year we have a lot of good returning players, a lot of good new players, good young supporting cast. So hopefully we can make another run at it and get close and or win the entire thing this year. So that's our goal. Coach Ashton's been on and off the staff the past couple of years. He's back. Most of you know Coach Shipley took the head baseball job over at Shawnee Mission South. So Jeff Ashton, who's been coaching for a very long time, we'll get his bio put back on there. He'll take over the pitching coach duties as well as the varsity assistant duties. Coach Lahaski's back. Outstanding coach. He'll be the head JV coach. He'll also take over first base coaching duties for varsity games. He'll continue to coach our hitters, our infielders, and basically lead one of the teams that's been the top in the state the past couple of years in scoring runs. So he does an outstanding job. Bryce McElroy comes to us from Shawnee Mission South. He's been a head varsity assistant over there for the past 7 years. He's also got his administrative degree. He does still teach over at Shawnee Mission South, but his family lives in the Blue Valley West District. So he'll do a great job being our new head C team coach, as well as working with the infielders, pitchers, and hitters at the D and C level. Coach Harrison's back. He'll be the head D team coach again. He'll work with the outfielders, and he'll be in control of the running game for the D team. And I don't know why his bio is not on here, but we'll get it on here as soon as possible. So you can find this page and these coaches' emails, how to contact them on the bluevalleywestbaseball.com website. I'm going to go ahead and stop share there. I'm going to go get back to the presentation so I can stay on course. Okay, players' needs. Coach Ashton's that say player needs at the top there. We're doing good so far. Okay. First things first, your player cannot participate in tryouts unless they have a completed paperwork packet, which you can find on the Blue Valley West high school website. I will also send that link to you via email with the other information from this meeting tonight. They got to have their physical, which is the main thing. Once they have their physical in, we can actually let them practice. But there's all like 5 or 6 other forms, including the emergency medical form, concussion form, heat and illness form, acknowledging the school rules and policy form. And there's a couple other forms in there that they'll have to sign. Please make sure you sign everything, have your players sign everything, so you don't have to go back and deal with that after you've turned it in. Baseball attire. So what they'll need to wear for practice, for all practices, indoor or outdoor, they need to have baseball pants. And for tryouts, it's wide open. They can wear white or gray pants. Doesn't matter the piping on the side. We do ask that they wear white or gray, no, crazy colors. We want them to stand out from their performance, not basically the way they look with their pants. So white or gray pants. They need cleats for when we go outside. Metal or plastic is fine. They need to have tennis shoes or turfs for when we're inside. They need to have sleeves, a hoodie, or a jacket that they can perform in and execute baseball activities outside, because we will be outside that first week if the extended forecast is nice or it sticks to the way it is. With that said, it is going to be chilly, especially in the mornings when we go outside on the turf, out on the football field by the track. We will spend some time out there, so they'll need to have something as far as sleeves, jacket, or hoodie goes. They'll need to have a black Blue Valley West baseball T-shirt or just a plain black shirt, so that everybody looks as close to the same as possible. They need a hat. They don't have a Blue Valley West hat yet. They wear their club hat, summer hat, any type of baseball hat works. If for some reason they don't have a hat, they can come see me and I'll do my best to get them some type of hat. They need to have socks, belt, cup, and their baseball gear. If there's certain gear that they're missing and they need that for tryouts, we have a little bit, but it's always best if they have their own for, the purposes of them being comfortable with it, and or we don't have gear for everybody. So if they need something, they can come see me, but for the most part, we need to provide their own. They'll need transportation to and from practice. We will have a couple morning practices during tryouts. I'll get to that schedule here in just a second. We do hope that the weather is perfect, so we practice right after school. We are doing a little bit of a split session this year so that we can get better eyes on more kids. So that'll show in the schedule here. But most of you have been baseball parents now for a while. You understand the transportation part. We do appreciate you. Just be prepared for that the first week. Fingers crossed the weather's nice, so we're not doing too much crazy stuff. Okay, the tryout schedule. I'm going to stop share and pull that up now. Just a little bit bigger. Okay, Coach Ashton, do you see the tryout schedule? I'm rolling. I'm doing good. Okay, just a reminder on the equipment and attire that they're wearing. It's up top. Monday, we'll focus solely on Monday right now. In the morning, all freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors will show up on Monday from 6 to 7:10. I know that's early, but we want to do the best we can to get as many practices and as many opportunities to look at your player as possible. So we can start on Monday. We can start at 6. This is my first year in the 4 years I've been at West where we have the ability to use the turf. It's not under construction, so we can get out on the turf. The lights will be on. It will be chilly, but we can get some good stuff done and good work done. So we're going to go ahead and start practicing at 6 a.m. We'll meet in the gym, and then we will disperse to our certain locations that Monday morning at 6 o'clock. If they do not have their paperwork in, they cannot practice that morning, and they'll be a day behind. So we need to make sure that their paperwork's in ahead of time, get everything in before the 25th. If you're waiting until now to schedule your doctor's appointment, you guys know that everything's backed up with COVID and all the emergency medical workers and everything that they're doing. So find a way to get that done as soon as possible, so that they're getting their tryouts done as soon and making every opportunity that they can. That afternoon, so switching to Monday afternoon. If we're outside, weather's good, we'll be good to go. So we're going to go 3:15 to 4:45 with the freshmen and sophomores. Okay. In the past 3 years, we've had all the kids together, and it's just, I think we can do it better this way. So what we're going to do is the freshmen and sophomores will practice from 3:15 to 4:45. And then the senior and junior pitchers and catchers will actually do their evals that during that time as well. And then the juniors and seniors will come back at 4:45 and practice from 4:45 to 6:15. So if you look at that, the PM practices 3:15 to 4:45. It says practice fields 3 and 4. They're right there off of Antioch in front of the school. We'll practice from 3:15 to 4:45 with the freshmen and sophomores. It says bullpen there in that second column. That's the junior and senior pitchers and catchers only. So if they're an outfielder or infielder only, and they're a junior or senior, they will not practice until 4:45. At 4:45, the juniors and seniors come in. The sophomore pitchers and catchers will stay, and they will throw their bullpens and get evaluated from 4:45 to 6:15. If they are a freshman and or sophomore that does not pitch or catch, they'll be going home at 4:45. So they'll be done at 4:45. If for some reason we have to go inside or practice later that afternoon on Monday, there's your schedule for inside. Freshmen will practice from 5:30 to 7. Sophomores 6 to 7:30. It's basically staggered, as you can see. We'll have that exact same schedule on Wednesday. So I'm skipping Tuesday and Thursday. We'll go Wednesday morning. We'll go Wednesday afternoon with the same exact schedule. Now to Tuesday. Tuesday's a special day. They did us a favor and blessed us with the ACTs being held at the school on that Tuesday. So all the students that are scheduled to take the ACT will actually show up and take the test at the school on that Tuesday. I believe students that are not taking the ACT are actually not in school during that Tuesday, March 1st. There's nothing in the morning. We have regular practice in the afternoon, same like we did before, 3:15 to 4:45, 4:45 to 6:15 for the older kids. And then if we're inside for whatever reason due to the weather, please understand that we're staggering the times again. Thursday will look the exact same, nothing in the morning. And then the afternoon, inside or outside, looks the same. Friday, okay, there is no actual baseball activities Friday, but we will meet with each individual class at different times. For example, the freshmen come in right after school at 3 o'clock. We'll call them in alphabetically. They'll each come in, they'll sit down. We'll go over their eval sheet with them, talk to them about whether or not they made the team or did not make the team, give them their options. If they did not make the team, remind them of that. They'll take their eval sheets with them. If they have questions, they can ask us about 60 seconds to 2 minutes worth of questions at that time. And then we'll set up a meeting with them on Monday to come back and meet with us if they want further information. Please note that the only way we'll meet with you as parents is if your player's there. Because they are young adults, the way that I prefer to do that is I'll meet with them on Monday. If they're still not satisfied with the information they get, then we'll set up a meeting with you and the player either on Tuesday or Wednesday. I have no problem doing that. We'll set that up with you and we'll go from there. But that's the schedule. It's already posted on both websites, the school website and the Blue Valley West baseball website. I will also send this to you in an email. If your player wants a hard copy, I can print one off and give it to them at school as well. Okay, I'm going to stop share this schedule. Back to the presentation. Coach Ashton, presentation up. Perfect. Okay, spring tryouts. First thing that they'll be evaluated on is their character. And we use the acronym LEAD, leadership, effort, attitude, and discipline. And then you tag academics on with that. And they won't get a score on that. But what will happen is when we are coming down to the wire with kids that are really close on scores, we look at their leadership level, the effort they put forward, their attitude, were they coachable? Were they on time? Did they do what they were supposed to do? Did they take care of everything? Have they been a good student? Are they in good standing with all their teachers, with the grade cards that they turn into us? All those things matter. Those are the tangibles that connect to each player when we're considering who to keep and who not to. These 5 things right here can actually override any of the skills that they have for the tryout. So please understand that. We did have one example 2 years ago, my second year, where we had a really talented player, but he really struggled with the attitude and the academic part. So it was a situation where we had to do what was best for the team and let a kid that was one of the top 20 players in our program potentially not be a part of our program that year because he struggled with his attitude and his academics. We have great kids, and I've mentioned that every time I have a chance to talk about Blue Valley West and our program, but I just want to make sure that you understand and that your player understands that these 5 things are just as important, if not more, with how we evaluate and the way we do things. It's a little bit more about the academics and behavior. Please understand that your player had to have passed at least 5 classes the first semester, which CASHA rules say they have to pass at least 5 classes. And please understand that that's a D, C, B, or A. So a D is a passing grade. Most of you hold your players to higher standards. Blue Valley West actually has really high standards. We have high standards, but I just want to make sure you understand the CASHA rules, that they just had to pass at least 5 classes the first semester. Second semester, and this is usually just for seniors, but they have to stay enrolled in at least 5 classes to participate all spring. So if you have a student that's only enrolled in 5 classes, and then middle of March, they choose to drop one of those classes down to 4, then they would become ineligible. So we have to make sure they're enrolled in and good academic standards for those 5 classes the entire second semester. Okay, evaluation sheet. I'm going to show you the whole sheet and then we'll break it down for you. I'm going to stop share. Sheet's a little bit different this year. That's not the correct sheet. I was doing so good too. Close this one out. All right, share screen. Okay, Coach Ashton, can you see the evaluation sheet? We're good, perfect. Make it a little bit larger. It's a little too big. There we go. Okay, the eval sheet. I know it's a lot of boxes, okay, but it's a little bit easier for us to use during the tryouts. It'll be a little bit easier for your players to follow. I'm going to skip down to the bottom and then I'll come back up to the top. First things first, okay, for players that are position players and non-pitchers, they will be evaluated based off of a scoring system with 1 to 2 equals they're basically the beginning stages of a skill. 3 to 4 they need work on it. It's not one of their stronger attributes. 5 to 6 they're average. You can tell they've done it before, but they're right in the middle of the pack when it comes to those skills. 7 or 8 they're good. Okay, you can tell they've done a lot of work with it. They're right there. They're in pretty good shape. And 9 to 10 they're at the advanced varsity level. So the way that we do that is we'll take their hitting ranking, their fielding ranking, and then we'll divide that by 2 to get their total. So ultimately they'll be scored on a 100-point system, and they'll get 100 points for hitting. They'll get a 100-point system for fielding, and then we divide that by 2 to get their average out of 100. So with that said, I'll come back to pitching in just a second, but we'll roll up here. So for hitting, it's as simple as this. Day 1, everybody will hit live. So they'll go out and they'll hit live. The coaches will give them a score 1 to 10 on their hands, their load, and basically their approach to the plate. Then they'll get a score 1 to 10 on the contact. How often are they making contact? And is it solid contact? Then we'll talk about, they'll get a score of 1 to 10 on their power. How hard and strong are they hitting the baseball? How solid are they hitting the baseball? Then we'll go through a routine where we work on their 2-strike approach. One thing that's made our program as good as it is with scoring runs the past 2 years has been our ability to hit with 2 strikes to put the ball in play. And we carry that over into our evaluation for tryouts. So we may put a little bit more stock into a guy that doesn't miss a lot than a guy that hits for power. So please understand that if he's a 2 for 10 guy, but we got a guy that's, a 5 for 10 guy with putting the ball in play, that plays into the type of baseball that we do and that we practice and preach and execute at in our program. And then of course, bunting, you guys like it or not, that's a big part of our program and the way that we do things. I can point to 4 instances last year. Blue Valley North and Blue Valley Northwest is 2 that come to mind where, we won those games just because of our ability to bunt and move runners. So, that's something that we do. It's tough for high school defenses to defend, and we'll continue to do that. Plus we have really good athletes that run well. So that plays into what we do well with scoring runs. We take their hitting and then we times it by 2. So if they have a bad day at the plate, the next day we'll reevaluate it as well. And then we'll take their best score from those 2 days, because how hitting is. Some days you're on, some days you're off. And we will take their best scores, we'll times it by 2, and that'll give them the 100. Because if you look here, there's 5 categories, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, excuse me. And we get 50 for one day, 100 for the other. We take their best scores, times it by 2. We give the class rank. So basically all the freshmen will know where they finished against the other freshmen. And then they'll, as you know, for baseball's a little bit different monster. It's not like football. We'll take the top 15 guys and we'll play them at the varsity level. So if you have a freshman that scored, close to 100 in the 90s, okay, he's got a good shot at playing varsity. So that'll show up here in his program rank. So we take that for hitting. Okay, we do get their speed. So we'll give them 260 times. We'll take their best time, put it here. We'll take their split time. For those of you not familiar with the split time, that's their time from first to second. So while we're getting numbers on the pitchers and how quick their split time is from the rubber to the dish, we're also getting the runner split time how fast they run from first to second. We don't have the state numbers from last year, but we were one of the top teams in the state with stolen bases. We probably led. If maybe Lawrence had more, but we were pretty good. We stole a lot of bases last year, so we put a lot of stock into that as well. And once again, there's their ranks, class rank, program rank, so they can see, and so we can see who's going to be an asset for us on the base pass. Catching, specifically catching, leadership's a big deal. They got to be a leader on the field. Eventually, our older guys will be actually running practice as a catcher. So their leadership, they get 10 points there, 1 out of 10. So their stance, how well they give signs and understand the sign system, 1 out of 10 there. Their awareness of the game, their defensive awareness, understanding situations, game-like, and readiness. Their agility, can they move side to side, front to back, get pass balls, those type of things, run out, bunt, field bunts, move around, etc. Their receiving skills, their blocking skills, their arm strength, and their pop time. Those are 2 different things. One of the best catchers I've ever coached had a weak arm, but his transition was so good that he actually had a sub-2 pop time. So those 2 things are not the same. And then their knowledge of the game, how well can they be, that ties into the leadership, but their overall knowledge, how to handle a pitching staff, how to call pitches, those type of things. It's difficult for us to find all that out in 4 days, but we'll do our best, and they'll get basically scored out of 100 on these 10 categories. Infielding, same process. You can see the categories there. Their pre-pitch, their setup, their fielding stance, their awareness, where to be on ground balls, situational, 2 outs, they in or they out, lefty up, righty up, pull hitter, that type of stuff. Their agility, their ability to move side to side, front to back. Position specific, that means, are they a first baseman, middle infielder, third baseman? They'll get a score based off of how well they field that specific position outside of the other fundamentals. Their ability to catch and field pop flies, ground balls, their arm strength, their arm accuracy, and then their knowledge of the position. So 10 categories, once again, scored 1 through 10. Outfielding is real similar to infielding with a couple differences. Their pre-pitch, are they ready every time? Their stance, speed's thrown in there because they have to be fast, not necessarily fast, but they have to get to the ball fast, take good angles, and be able to read balls well. Their awareness for game situations, their agility, fly balls, how do they field ground balls / base hits, their arm strength, their arm accuracy, and then their knowledge of the position. Okay, now let's talk pitching. And before we do that, I just want to remind you, so we take that hitting score, which is 100, their fielding score, which is 100, and then we divide it by 2. The question I would have there, what if my player tried out as an outfielder and an infielder? Well, we take their best score from whichever position that best fits our program. So, for example, if they scored a 70 as an outfielder, but they scored an 80 as an infielder, that 80 is going to actually help them. So we'll use that score to help them make our team, if that makes sense, because that's most fair to them. And if that question comes up when we meet and we talk, because they felt like they were a better outfielder, but they actually scored better as an infielder, we'll let them know that so that they understand that we could have went both ways with that, but we took the best score from their best position. Now, pitchers are scored differently. They're still scoring at a system of 100. These are the items that we are the skills that we or the areas that we're evaluating. Their knowledge, the way that they approach everything on the mound. You can tell that they've done it a lot, or they haven't been up there not a lot. Then how well they pitch from the windup, how well they pitch from the stretch, their overall control, their nonverbals, which is a big one for us. How do they handle adversity? There's pitchers that lose their mind every time they throw a ball. There's pitchers that get super excited every time they throw a strike. So we need to see how they handle both those situations, how they handle giving up hits, how they handle 1, 2, 3 innings, long innings, and how they handle sore arms, et cetera, those type of things. Their score on fastballs, breaking balls, breaking balls, changeups, their poise, how well they recompose themselves on the mound, and then their defense. We'll take them through all the different PFPs, make sure that they can control the defensive side of the game, which includes their picks, holding runners, controlling the running game, those type of things. So they get scored 1 through 10 on all 10 of those. They'll come up with their score out of 100. And then these numbers down here in these boxes are pretty close. But we'll have varsity play. Most of our varsity players will be 80 or above. for their average score. Most of our JV players will be 70 or above, 60 above, 50 above. But as you know, on a year-to-year basis, we may end up having to keep a couple D team guys, which are freshmen, that were in the 40s because of numbers, or vice versa. We may have a lot of guys we may have all of our D team guys may be over 60 because we have a lot of good sophomores that are over 60. So with that said, that leads me into my next deal. How many players do we keep, and what is each team? What's the makeup of each team? Well, we'll start with the D team. The D team is our freshman team. We will only play freshmen on the D team unless there is a numbers issue with a specific position, where we need to keep a sophomore because we just didn't have enough first baseman to play. So keep in mind that need does come into account if we needed to keep a sophomore to play on the D team, for example. Haven't done it before, but it's a possibility. But that D team is specifically for freshmen. Now, with that said, there are teams in our conference or in our league that, for Aquinas, for example, they do a true A and B team. So their A team is their best sophomore and freshman. Their B team is their next 15 to 18 guys. So D team's freshmen. C team has traditionally been sophomores with a few freshmen. JV is our 15 to 18 guys in waiting. Those guys are getting, they're our next guys up. And then varsity is our next 15 to 18 guys. They're our top 15 to 18 guys. So I'll work backwards now. Our varsity is our best 15 to 18 players. Our JV are the guys that are waiting their turn. They're next. C team is typically sophomores with a few freshmen. And then D team has been traditionally all freshmen. And we'll keep anywhere between 15 to 18 players on each team. 18's too many, but at the same time, you get into situations where you have pitcher onlys or guys that specialize in certain areas. So that requires you to keep a couple extra guys. Varsity is usually around 15, JV is usually around 15, C team 15 to 18, D team 15 to 18. If you have individual questions about the scoring system, you can email me and we can chat a little bit more, but this has worked well for us. It gives the kids hard data, gives you hard data. The ranking system's a little bit new for us this year, so we'll get them that so they can see how they compared to their class and to the program rank. When we call the kids in, we'll sit them down. We'll go over this data with them quickly. We'll let them know whether or not they made the team or did not make the team. They will not find out which team they were on when we sit down and talk to them about their eval, because after 4 days, we may need another day or two to see exactly where we're going to place them. But we can figure out which 60 to 65 kids made our roster, and we'll let them know that during that eval process. And I will talk to them. The coaches will be there. Never been a fan of the system where you just post a list and the kids find out that way. They're grown-ups. They need to start, that process of the whole interview process, the whole eval process. And it's not easy. It's not a fun day for anybody, but at the same time, I owe it to them to talk to them about their eval and let them know exactly how they did, good or bad. Okay, I'm going to stop share. I'm going to go back to the presentation. Coach Ashton's presentation up. Good. Okay, just a little bit more on what we evaluate. We talked about 260s, 2 split times. Hitter evaluation specifically, they get 2 live rounds. So they'll be on the field, either off the machine or coach pitched. We preferably do 1 coach pitched round and 1 machine pitched round, so we take the variables out. They get 8 free cuts, 2 live bunts when they're hitting live on the field. Cage rounds, they get 10 live bunts off the machine. Like I mentioned before, we invested the 2-strike approach, so that'll be our front toss. We'll change speeds, we'll change location. We'll see just how their swing changed, how their approach changed with the 2 strikes. And then their fundamentals off the tee. We'll break their swing down just a little bit and see how well their swing stays together when they're hitting off the tee. This is the same spreadsheet that we just went over for the hitters. What do we evaluate with the outfielders? They get 8 balls hit to them, and this will happen on Monday and Wednesday. They get 2 right at them, 1 to the left, 1 to the right. 2 they'll have to go get in the gap. 2 they'll have to come charge and get after. And then we look at their ability to throw to and through a cut. So they'll throw to a cut, and then they'll throw through the cut to the base, so we can evaluate their arm strength. And then situational defense, is it a time for them to hit the cut? Is it a time for them to go straight to the base? How many outs are there? Those type of things. Same spreadsheet that we covered on the eval sheet. Okay, infielders, what do we evaluate? This is for everybody except for the first baseman. They get 8 balls hit to them, 2 right at them, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, so we can work forehand, backhand, work 2 slow rollers, or work double play feeds and turns, work situational defense to include bunt coverages, first and thirds, those type of things, and assuming that we're out on the field. If we're inside, that makes it difficult, but if we're outside, we'll get all these things in. And then we'll do our best to make sure they get all this, them and the outfielders, they get all these on both Monday and Tuesday. First baseman's eval is real similar, except for we add in the 3-6-3 double plays, their receiving and digs, and then their situational defense as far as being able to hold runners and work off the bag when they're working double play footwork. There is their spreadsheet as we went over before. Okay, what do we evaluate? The catchers, mentioned all this before, their stance, receiving, blocking, pop times, their attitude, their leadership, and their practice control. There's a spreadsheet that we covered before. Okay, pitcher evaluation. They will do 3 sets on that first day. They'll throw those in the pen. So for example, the freshmen will throw their pins that Monday morning while everybody else is out getting their times and getting extra ground balls and fly balls on the turf. The pitchers will be in the gym. The freshman pitchers, they'll throw 3 sets. Our sets are 7 pitches. The first 2 pitches are fastballs. The last two pitches are fastballs. I need to change that. And the middle 3 pitches are their next best pitch. So their first set's 2 fastballs, 3 breaking balls, 2 fastballs. And then they'll do that same set over again. And then their third set, they'll do a changeup set where they throw 2 fastballs, 2 fastballs, 3 changeups, 2 fastballs. So there's my mistakes. I got to get that fixed. Fielding fundamentals, ground balls right at them to include bunt coverages, turning double plays a second, working pop flies, working off the mound, communicating, backing up bases, covering bases, rundowns, and then holding runners, getting their split time from home to first, from the rubber to home, and then their picks to first and to second. Here's the pitcher's eval. The one thing the eval doesn't say on any of those is that on Monday and Tuesday, everything is drill specific. We'll do we'll get all the data from their drills. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, we basically do live scrimmage the entire time so that we can see them play real baseball. Obviously that's weather pending. But like last year, we were able to get outside all 4 days. So Wednesday and Thursday, we set them up so that we can see them compete and participate in live baseball situations. When that happens, the pitchers get 1 inning live on the mound, 3 to 4 batters, or a full inning. And that way we'll have pitchers throwing against live hitters hitting off live pitching, so we can see how they compete in live situations. Friday, we went over this process, but there it is once again. Okay, for players that do not make the team, we always make sure that they understand that's not the end of the road. If they still want to participate in activity at West, they can still try out, or they can still join the track team. Track doesn't have tryouts. I do believe that golf is going on at the same time, but their tryouts end before ours do, or they'll have to set up a special meeting with Coach Anderson to see if they can still try out. But typically golf's a no-go, but that's a situational basis. I think that's it as far as our spring sports that we have at the school. There is a league at 3 and 2 for those players that want to keep playing, but that did not make their high school teams. I have that information for them if they want to keep doing that. And of course, we're blessed in the Blue Valley area that there are several clubs and academy teams that have teams during that time that they can go play for and or continue to get work in. It's not the end of the road. There are great players that haven't made our team just because of numbers and situational stuff. And they've gone on to play college baseball. In fact, I counted the other day, we have 4 kids playing in college right now that did not play for us, either their junior or senior year. So it's a tough situation for them and for me. But at the same time, we have 2.5 months, we have 4 days to do tryouts, and the situation is what it is. Okay, the practice gear team store. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. I sent it to you. I just wanted to make sure that you saw it once again and that we touched base on it. This year, we're trying something different. We're offering you the sweatshirt, the sweatpants, the practice shirt and shorts ahead of time so that they don't have to wait to get those until the third week of the season. So that shop's open. It closes Wednesday. And the reason why it closes Wednesday is so that we can have it for them on that Friday before tryouts start. Those will all be delivered to me. I'll hand them out to the kids on that Friday. They'll probably actually be on Thursday. This guy did really good. He did the work for wrestling as well. And it's already been a process that's happened over the last month. So we know that this is a good deal. We had to get away from Nike for these particular products because Nike's struggling with supplies. In fact, all name brands are, to be honest. So these items are Badger, which is a really good product. And that's the stuff we typically use for practice gear anyways. The package deal is $75, or the individual items are right there. You can see the prices. It's all good stuff. For those of you who have players that do not make the team and you want to return this, we'll reimburse you for your items. They'll just bring the item to me. We'll get them reimbursed, or they can choose to keep them. It's completely up to them. But that's how we're going to handle the situation. That's the way the administration said that I had to do it. So we'll make that work and we'll get it set up. So if you have individual questions about that, please see me. But the biggest thing that you need to understand is that, one, the store closes on Wednesday, and two, players that do make the team will need to order these items anyways. After they make the team, they'll just be 3 weeks behind everybody else. So I'm not saying you have to order it. I'm just saying that it's going to happen if they do make the team anyways. The East Bay team store is just a convenience for you. You do not have to order anything off that shop. Okay. It's just one of those deals where I wanted to share one of the attributes that we have. You can get on there. The prices are I don't say they're cheaper than anywhere else, but they're pretty good prices. The items ship to you in 3 to 5 business days. So those items are on there for your convenience. There's a black belt on there, black socks, black and white turfs, black and white cleats. There's a black helmet on there because players do need to supply their own helmets. And if you want to wait until after your player makes the team, that's fine. But those items are on there. You do not need to purchase game pants or practice pants from the team store this year. You do not have to buy game pants off the team store. That store will stay open until the end of March. So you don't have to rush through anything on the East Bay team store. And those items are shipped directly to you. Okay, my contact information is all there. You can screenshot that, or you can simply just wait till I email you this, and or your players should have most of this stuff. But I do just want to point out the email address. If for some reason you email me and you do not hear back within that day, please email me again. As you can imagine, especially this time of the year, we're getting a ton of emails, not necessarily just from parents, but with administration, parent-teacher conferences, vendors trying to sell us stuff. It's pretty crazy. So if you don't hear back from me within a day, please email me again, or text me. Feel free to text me. There's my cell phone number. I usually try to get back to you as soon as possible. If you call and leave a message, that's a bad idea. I haven't checked my voicemail probably in a long time, so that's a bad thing to say, but it's just kind of a little bit different with the way things are done nowadays. So text me, email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. There's our Twitter page. It's all strictly baseball. We'll use that feed to post scores during the season and updates. We post workout updates, college player updates, anything that the program's doing well, or any news that we have, we put it on there. We also have a Facebook page now, which is Blue Valley West Baseball. You can search that and like it if you want. We use that more for pictures this year, to post pictures and information, just like the Twitter page. The school website is a pain for me to use, but I do try to keep it up to date as much as possible. The athletic director does want us to use that. So I try to meet expectations, keep that updated. And then we also have the BlueValleyWestBaseball.com, which is the one I use the most for all the different stuff that we do on there, as far as updates, information, camp stuff, and so forth. So there is that. If you have questions, or you need to get added to the distro list for emails, or your player's cell phone number, any of that kind of stuff, please email that to me. right now or directly after the meeting. And then I'll sit around tonight for the next couple hours and I'll just reply to your questions and emails tonight so that we don't take up everybody else's time here and create kind of a cluster with the Zoom meeting. I do appreciate your time, appreciate your commitment. It's going to be a great spring. We're Coach Ash and myself, the rest of the staff is looking forward to it. We have some great kids, great returners, new kids. It's just we're set up for a really good spring, good situation, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you for your time. Don't hesitate. There is no bad questions. There's a lot of stuff going on. So if you need anything from me, just email me, text me, and we'll go from there. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it.